The world is full of ordinary people just like you and me, who have actually done pretty extraordinary things that you and I just look back on in awe, but we would walk past them on the street and not think a second that this person has led such an amazing life, all due to one thing. They've just backed themselves and they have become something that they are just great. My name's Kyl Reber, and this podcast is about just that. Ordinary people who are now showing us that it is possible for ordinary people like you and I to back themselves and become something amazing. So join me in listening to these people, listening to their stories, because who knows, one day I might be talking to you. Righto. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Kyl Reber podcast. My name is Kyl Reber, and each week we are interviewing people who are, I believe, and I'm sure by the end of the podcast you will believe, have done a very good job in their life thus far of backing themselves. If you like what we do and you like what you hear, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and to the podcast on all its platforms. But that's enough about us. This guest today, I'm going to be very honest with you. He may look pretty and he may be a nice guy, but when he gets his hands on you in a way different to martial arts, it hurts, but it hurts so good. And I can very clearly say that without this guy in my life, we're getting deep already. Without this guy in my life, I would not be able to still do the stuff that I do from a martial arts point of view in some capacity. So Mr. Creagh Court.
Thank you.
A pleasure to have you on.
Pleasure to be here.
And he's not nervous at all. Now, we're going to get stuck right into it because you were worried that you weren't going to fill the first question.
Yeah,
but I reckon you'll do it in ease. Question number one. So for those who are new to this, every week, the clients get sent, interviewees get sent a list of questions, and they have to put some answers together, which sometimes is totally off the cuff and ad lib, but it gives them a little bit of an idea. But question one, birth to now in 7 minutes.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
Go.
Okay, so I grew up in Sydney, born and bred there, and went to school down there. During school, I played a lot of rugby. That was my thing growing up.
Position?
Prop.
Really?
Yeah, so I was short and fat. Short and fat. So it was the only position for me. So I just trundle around the field, getting to the rocks, and yeah, pretty much. So during school, I was really academic. I was very good at everything I set my mind to. But what I wasn't good at was the social aspect. I was always a bit of an introvert, fat kid, prop, all that sort of thing, right? So it's all painting a picture.
What part of Sydney?
I grew up in the Hills district, so Castle Hill. Mm-hmm. So a little bit out to the west, not a fancy area or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And then sort of going through high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life or anything like that. I did have a lot of pressure that I needed to go to uni, especially because I was an academic kid and all that sort of thing. I did a lot of sort of mathematics and, typical nerd stuff. But by the end of school, I knew I couldn't do that any longer. I was done with that. I didn't see that as something that would, make me happy and enjoy. So I sort of looked at all my different avenues and I thought, helping people always seemed like a really sort of nice idea to me. So, you looked at doctor and physio and osteo, chiro. So, I went through HSC, got my marks, got into chiropractic. Now, at this stage, I'd never been to a chiropractor. No one in my family had been to a chiropractor.
Because this already is not making, this is like where people end up.
Yeah.
Because we won't jump forward too much, but what would you say? Probably 70% of the people that you treat are playing sport at a reasonable to reasonably high.
Yes, absolutely. Level. Yeah, there's huge population.
And you were a nerd. You were a nerd.
Oh yeah, I could not at this stage in my life. Like I didn't even really watch sports or anything like that. Yeah, so I got into chiropractic at uni. I went there and I was surrounded by, I guess, a lot of people who invested a lot in their health and fitness. And so I started going to the gym and all that sort of thing.
Because my assumption. Anyone that I know that studies physio, they've already got a little bit of a sporting background.
Yeah,
Or they're already
the vast majority for sure. That, or they want to use that as a stepping stone to go to medicine, which was, you know, in my back pocket, knowing that maybe chiro was going to be for me. Who knows? Let's give it a go, see where it takes me. So yeah, I got surrounded by people sort of in the health and fitness industry, and I joined a gym and I got fit, and you know, girls started to notice me. So then you get really excited. You're like, this is awesome. I'm going to do a lot more of this. So that really developed those habits in my life for that. You know, went through uni, and I met a good friend of mine, Bree, who is now my business partner. Go to that later. So as I got through uni, I ended up sort of hitting a spot at the end of my bachelor where I kind of funked a little bit. I think I was enjoying, you know, going from high school, I had no social life, to meeting these people. And I kind of got, you know, went down a different path. Pretty much. And so I took a break from uni after I finished my bachelor's degree, and I was working in hospitality and so working in bars and all that sort of thing, having a great time. Which was good for a year or so. And then,
so how old and what year are we looking at here?
So I would have been 21 at this stage. So uni 18 to 22 probably, because I failed one subject. Still we got, you know. And yeah, so you're kind of like figuring yourself out and all that sort of thing. But around this time, I got a girlfriend and we sort of settled down and all that sort of thing. And I thought, I need to get my shit together. And so I thought, all right, let's go back to uni. And now it was rather, I wanted to go back to uni.
Still in Sydney?
Still in Sydney, versus I had the pressure to go to uni.
Yeah.
So this time when I went back to uni, I crushed it. I absolutely loved what I was doing. I had no distractions outside of uni or anything like that. I was on a mission. When I got through it, great marks. I was really motivated in the sense, so I dropped hospitality and I just worked in different health sort of clinics and that sort of thing, trying to work out what sort of health practitioner I wanted to be. So I worked in, you know, your chiropractic, crack, you know, 2 minutes in and out sort of thing. I worked in like places that were, you know, more exercise based, and then I worked in places that were more hands-on sort of thing. And from what I could see and what really gelled with me and what actually helped me with my injuries throughout the time was somewhere that was more holistic and treating the hands-on sort of approach. Yeah, so that's kind of the line I wanted to take my career when I finished.
Because your card, like what are you effectively? You're a musculoskeletal.
I'm a chiropractor. But I sort of would put myself more as a sports chiropractor. And I guess the difference between chiropractor and a sports chiropractor is you're not just looking at the joints. You don't have that philosophy where...
Because that's the common public stigma.
Absolutely. And so your classic chiropractor will adjust a joint to affect the nervous system, and that will relax the muscles or change your movement patterns and things like that, which for some injuries absolutely works. But for the vast majority, in my opinion, not so much. So
because I could almost count on two hands the amount of time that I've, like I said, it's been what six odd years that I've been seeing you. I could almost count on two hands the amount of times you've officially cracked me as
yeah, right.
The rest of it is just sticking.
And look, most people actually don't think I'm a chiropractor. They'll get a phone call in the session, just at the physio. Sure.
That's the stigma.
Whatever, yeah.
Because if you say to someone, again, like I've referred so many people to you, if I say chiro, there is that group of people that I could have just, you know.
no, thank you, not for me. I don't want to be cracked.
This is different.
Yeah, well, I don't believe in that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's huge. And starting my own business, that was a massive roadblock for me. And I almost, well, I did go down a path of just saying like, oh, I'm a practitioner, I'm a musculoskeletal therapist or something, to get over that hump, because people were just so nervous about it, for sure, which I can understand. There's some kooks in the industry.
Oh yeah.
like any industry, but in chiropractic they speak really loud, and you know, they have a strong voice, and I think the medical industry and a lot of the chiropractors, they butt heads, so they're just like at polar ends of the spectrum.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
So you've finished uni.
Yes.
So you finished graduating with what was the degree that you ended up?
A master's in chiropractic. Okay. So once I finished and I knew what sort of avenue that I wanted to go down in terms of treating, I sort of looked at who was out there doing it, and one of my friends who I mentioned earlier, Creagh, she was already working for this company called the Soft Tissue Center, and they were a company that specialized in on-site treatment for different work sites to prevent sort of workers' compensation and time off work and all that sort of thing. So I ended up taking a job with them. The owner of that business, he ran a course on, it's called active release technique, which is a soft tissue modality.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of works on like fascial systems and things like that. And he was the teacher for Australia. So that was another reason I wanted to work there. And so I was fully trained in all of those modalities and got to use that every day on different patients. And the main sort of clientele that I saw in these workplaces were abattoir workers and sort of food manufacturing places in like the rural sort of Australia. And so because I was out in the rural population, healthcare is not that great there. So I got to treat everything. And I saw so many different injuries, and
It's just experience 101.
Yeah, incredibly grateful that I got to do that job and see all these people with, you know, different sort of health and lifestyles, because, you know, rural population, you've got people who just have no idea. You've obviously got people who really value their health, but the vast majority have no idea. And so, you know, to be able to educate them and help them with so many different things was amazing. And they would rather come to me, the chiropractor, on site versus their doctor if they had an ache or a pain.
Because that's the culture. And I know from where I grew up, the GP, they have the answers to everything. I try and say to people, and this is no disrespect, but GP stands for general practitioner.
Yes.
Whereas,
I think in a musculoskeletal sort of standpoint, they're, you know, very minimum sort of training, I think, for sure. Yeah, so I did that for a number of years in Sydney, still in New South Wales mainly. And then I got the opportunity to become state manager. So I moved up to Queensland with the business. Sort of did the management sort of role for a couple of years. And then after some time, I realized management sucks. It really sucks. I think especially middle management, because you have the people from below, they're trying to, you know, tell you all their problems, and the people from above, they're telling you all their problems, and you're the middleman, and it sucks. So at that point, I think this was 5.5 years into that job, I was like, you know what? I'm not that happy with it anymore. And if I was to stay here and try to go up the ranks, it's probably just going to get worse. So I thought, I want to start a business that I actually like going to do my work, and I want to build a place where other people like doing their work. And so I started Elite Health and Performance 6.5 years ago now. We've grown to, we've got a team of 14. We're about to hire a 15th team member.
Because when I started going to you, I think it was just you and Bree.
Bree and I, it was very, very small. And to be honest, it was just me to begin with. And Bree was good enough. She actually was traveling overseas with Madison Keys, a pro tennis player, and we were just sharing her salary while I was trying to work out how to set up a business, and I had no idea at all. Like, I'd never even worked as a chiropractor in private practice. So I was just like, oh, how hard can it be, right? And it's pretty hard. As you know, running a business, it's a lot. So yeah, it's grown, and now we're sort of looking at opening a second clinic, and yeah, I'm really, really proud of that.
That was more than 7 minutes.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, we made it.
flying to me.
Yeah.
So look at this guy. He's got notes.
Prepared.
He's the nerd.
Yeah.
So one thing that I'm thinking springs to my mind, and again, one of the things that I guess I want to achieve out of this more so than just having a chat with you is that roadblock that you talk about, the chiropractor and all the rest of it. If you'd have called yourself elite chiropractic,
I think it would have put me in too much of a niche. And I definitely thought about elite chiropractic, because you brainstorm all these different sorts of ideas, and there is a demographic out there who love chiropractic, but they weren't, if I was to help as many people as possible, I can't do that if I'm just targeting one niche.
But now you have, so you doing your thing. You have a couple of guys under you that do the same thing.
Yep.
Now you've got some physios.
Yep.
What are the physios? Is there a different demographic to what they get to you get? Does that just make the business more accessible or marketable?
So in my eyes, the chiros, the physios, and even the massage therapists to a degree, we all do the exact same thing.
That's why I'm trying. It's like, what's the difference?
Really, for a good clinician, it should be very, very similar. You should be addressing all the tissues. You should have a range of different modalities. You shouldn't pigeonhole yourself to one thing, like cracking, or a lot of physios these days, from what I've been told from new grad physios, they're really focused on evidence-based and what's coming out in the literature. And a lot of that is exercise therapy. And the reason that's coming out in the literature is you can't measure hands-on therapy between practitioners accurately. So because we can't measure it, well, we won't do any studies on it because you just can't.
Okay, so, I found this on the web for is there a difference in what they get to you get? Does that
you must
make
have
the business?
Activated theory.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
All right, keep going.
We're back.
The other time, see, we have to switch theory off.
Yeah.
All right. So back to where we were. You have this. You're trying to, I guess, and part of that probably what I'm thinking is you're trying to kill that stigma without actually shoving a stick at it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's hard because I think,
like you said before, the person on the phone who's in it, you saying I'm at the physio, turning up like a physio.
Yeah, and look, I mean, really, we should all be able to work alongside each other. Our goal across all the professions is the same. You just want to help the person, and so by working together and training in sort of modalities that we're all physios, they'll probably initially be better at exercise therapy. Chiropractors better at sort of the hands-on modalities, and I think we can all learn from each other, develop those skills, and at the clinic we'll have weekly team training sessions, and the physios will teach the chiros and vice versa.
Because you're from, and this is not to blow wind up your ass, and this is one reason I stay with you. Don't hurt me. It's the only guy, and he's never tapped me out. You haven't tapped me out.
Tapped you out?
You've never tapped me out.
As in you said that's enough?
Nah, you've never got me.
No, I don't think so. But if you like if you want me to, we could probably try.
No, I didn't say that. You, from everything I can see, you're very big on ongoing training, ongoing learning.
Yes, absolutely.
Would you say that's a thing that in the industry a lot of people are getting? From what you see, without being general, you can fall into just a rhythm of just
absolutely
wham bam, in and out, in and out.
Yeah, and I can certainly, even for myself, I know as I get busier as a business owner.
How long since you graduated?
It'll be 11 years.
What's changed in 11 years was the way you treat people.
Oh, not a lot, to be honest, but I think the education side would be more about recognizing certain injuries, and you look at the latest modalities or exercises and things like that. But I think most people develop who they are as a clinician probably in the first 3 years.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to, you know, when you get out there, to make sure that you actually love what you're doing and you're not just like winging it.
Yeah.
You want to be somewhere where they really want to invest in your growth and learning, because after that 3 years, you've got your habits in place, and that's pretty much who you are as a practitioner. It'd be incredibly hard to change that. So I know even now when I do new courses, you might take a couple of little pieces from it here and there, but you're still practicing how you
add it back into what you're already doing.
Exactly.
The same here, like
Yeah.
when we do seminars, I just say to the guys, you're not going to get all the information. If there's one or two pieces you pick out, I can use that. Put it back in the tool.
Yeah, that's all growth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. All right. Question number 2. Because I know you're such a morning person. 3 reasons you get out of bed in the morning.
All right. So the first one is definitely my career. I'm very, very passionate about that, and I love going to work and helping people and helping develop my team. The second is, it's kind of a health thing for me. I like to have my daily routine. I get up at 5:40 every day. I know if I get up at 5:40, I'll be able to fall asleep well that night. So, it just sets you up for a good solid day doing that. And then the third would be my partner, Rachel. We have a great synergy where we sort of, I'll get up and I'll look after her. I'll do some things to prepare for her, and then she'll, do my things, and we sort of flow off each other and set each other up for the day and sort of go through, and then we come home and sort of debrief on our days, that sort of thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's your morning routine?
On my morning routine. Okay, so 5:40 get up, cold shower, first thing in the morning. That sounds crazy, but it works.
That's all right.
And then we get out of the shower,
Do you?
and I've got a ton of supplements that I have.
Whole kitchen bench.
Yeah, the whole kitchen bench. And then while I'm getting those ready, Rachel will make breakfast. I'm incredibly lucky to have her cook my breakfast every day.
Yeah.
And then I'll usually get to work, and then we'll sit down and just chill out for 10-15 minutes, just chat or whatever.
Yeah.
And then sort of off to work, and I'll get to work half an hour early, and then you sort of look at your patients for the day, and you sort of roadmap what you want to do, or who needs what, or on those days that I'm not treating, I like to have a list of everything that I'd like to achieve, and I'll order it in a sort of way where my top 3, my priorities, so I can tick them off. And then the next sort of things after that, if I get those top 3 things done, it's a good day. And then anything else is just a bonus.
How do you, because your job, I'm sure if we go into a question after, but anyway, your job, you would say, is a physical job, and I've said this to you a few times. Like, how do you go managing your body?
Yeah, that's a good question, because sometimes it does burn out, especially because
your thumbs must be so fucking sore.
Yeah. So I think if I was just working, just treating people, it would be fine. But because I'm still training, and I'll probably spend like an hour and a half or 2 hours, 5 days a week at the gym, and that gripping, all that sort of thing, that definitely takes its toll. So like, in terms of like almost like your body in an overtraining sense, because of that physical sort of load, I try to like look at my overall recovery. So I'm doing the ice baths and the saunas. I mentioned how I have a routine with my get up early so I can make sure I get to sleep on time. I don't like to be in bed any later than 8:30. I'm happy with
That's
that.
the shit I can only dream about.
I don't have kids, right? I don't have kids. I don't have other, distractions like that. So, that's one good thing, right? Yeah, I think that sort of.
Has that always been the way?
No, God, no. I think
it just had to become the way.
Yeah, it just kind of did. It got to a point where my health, like in terms of sleep and even anxiety, because that sort of all comes off that when you're not sleeping well, it just got so bad that I couldn't sleep until like 1 or 2 o'clock.
Would you credit the hospitality work and the off work to that sort of thing? Or
actually, yeah, definitely, because it was during like my years in bartending where you kind of become a bit of a night owl.
Can't help it.
Yeah, it's just part of it,
Mm.
right? Yeah, so, but I guess when I started this business, we opened at 7. So you've got to be on and alert.
How many, because you're not, so these days, obviously you're on the business probably more than in the business.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But what's still the maximum amount of clients you'll treat in a day?
Probably 10 now. Yeah, it was up to about 16. Yeah, they make
You
big
just must have walked out at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I can't even pick up a fucking pencil.
Yeah, there's when you go to like type on your phone and the thumb is just shaking and you can't hit the keys you want because it's just so fatigued. Yeah, and look, to be honest, it's also great working where I work. If you're pretty like tired, just go hit up one of the other staff members because everyone wants to help each other. So, or you get the old dry needles and that's when you're really desperate, right?
It's like hit me.
Yeah.
Number 3. 2 guilty pleasures you have.
Oh, this was really easy.
Oh,
But and this is taking it back to my nerd days.
Oh, okay.
Gaming.
Oh, God,
and
okay.
anime.
Oh,
Madison's
here. I was just listening. She wants a bit of that.
Good.
Right, go to anime series. Is
Uh,
that what they are? I'm totally in the dark here.
probably Attack on Titan. Yeah, we've got a nod over there.
What started the animation?
I don't think I ever grew up, so I think I always just watched cartoons. And I just ever since I was a kid, like you watch cartoons as a kid, and I just never stopped. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I get it. Like, see, when in my age, how old are you?
I'm 36.
Yeah. So my era, there was the Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you just get glued.
100%. Right, I'd tape it before school and you kind of watch that kind of thing.
Yeah, and these things called a video cassette.
Yeah, I do remember. Not that old, so I do remember that.
What was the other guilty pleasure?
Gaming.
What's your go-to game at the moment?
Anything that's just a story-based thing. So I love like just something that you can. It's kind of instead of watching TV and a story on that, I like to just. It's like an interactive.
So you're not a COD guy?
No. So
you're a Zelda guy.
yeah.
He didn't just admit that. He did not admit that.
Look, I definitely had my time when I played online games and things like that, but I think when you have a partner, you can't pause these games when they're online. So if they come home, oh hey, how was your day? Like, get up.
Fine.
Yeah. Move. So I had to make that choice, and I'm like, all right, I need something where it doesn't completely consume my life. So it's just,
So if we went into Craig's house, would we see some anime figurines?
No. No, I'm not that far gone.
There's some line down there.
I don't think my girlfriend would let that happen either.
That's all right, mate. Look, look, I've known you for 6 years, and okay, I've learned something about it.
I knew that one might throw you a little bit.
That one didn't need any thought.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 4. One thing you've bought that has literally made you happy every day after.
All right. So I thought about this, and it might sound really vain at first, and it is my car. And the reason I've sort of attached a lot of happiness to it was ever since I opened the business, I had this one financial figure, like revenue goal in mind, and it took a long time to do that, and a lot of mistakes and whatever along the way, and we finally hit it. And when we hit it, like just leading up to us just about to get there, my business partner and I sort of made a decision like, let's celebrate it and do this. So I think having that car, and every time I look at it or drive it, it reminds me of my achievements, and I almost attach a lot of my success to that car.
I've been reading a lot in the last couple of weeks about success and measurements of success and the internal and external. I tend to agree with you about that, and it's funny how you precursed that and said, I don't mean this to sound vain, because that's that fear of us being judged.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And this is the thing, like I grew up, trucks and loving those sorts of big cars. So now I have a small big car, but I I would love to just, before I die, just get like a Ram or an F-Truck. And I can see myself in that. But one of my biggest precursors as to not getting that is I pull up at the club in that. People go, oh, that's why we got the fee increase last month.
Absolutely.
And it's like
huge fear for me as well.
It's like, why am I not allowed to have like you're allowed to have nice things? Why am I not allowed to?
And I remember even like, I think one of the big things was I was scared my staff would judge me. Oh, if you can afford that, why can't you pay me? But the staff, half of them had better cars than you. Like you put so much doubt on yourself. You're like, you think, oh, people would judge you and all this sort of thing. But
you're being judged. Like, and again, you're getting in trouble for you being, you're being judged for being successful. And like the business, like I just said to you, I remember when I first came to you, it was you and Bree. Now you've got 2 levels. You've got people in there I don't even know. And everyone used to know.
Right.
And now you're opening up a second location. That means if you have a nice car, I think that's okay. But it's funny how, like you said, that just gets drawn into the we straight away judge, as opposed to that group of people going, that's awesome, man.
Well, I also remember when I first opened, so we bought I think it was $1,000, this 96 Mitsubishi Magna. And Bree and I shared that car. So like, you kind of also look at, where you were to where you are now kind of thing. It's, it means a lot.
100%. I don't know, mate. Anyone who has anything about that.
Exactly.
If you want to buy me a Ram while you're there, fine.
I'm doing that well.
I set enough business your way as it is. All right, number 5. One thing everyone thought you were crazy doing, but you did it anyway, and it paid off.
Studying chiropractic.
So
who to one?
What's that?
I'd never been to one.
I'd
never, like, no one in my family had ever been to one.
So would you say you're, like you said earlier,
you
there was like a given sort of push towards university. Was that a parental thing?
Yes.
Or you just thought that was what you do?
Definitely.
Are your parents educated?
So Dad didn't go to uni, and he always felt like that held him back. And then Mum, she's a maths teacher. So she went to uni and all that sort of thing. So
you're like a second generation doing.
Pretty much. So I think they both wanted to see me.
Sisters and brothers?
2 sisters.
Educated as well?
No, they didn't. Oh, actually, my little sister just graduated, actually, but she took a few attempts to get there. Now she's there, but I don't think they were as sort of academic as me.
So you were like the great white.
Yes, basically.
The great
golden child, you could say.
This has clearly been discussed at Christmas dinner. Now, back to the study and the chiropractic. Was there any times when, like you said, you're starting a course that you didn't really know much about, or you kind of thought you wanted to do it, but everyone's going like you've never even been to one? What was was there a point in that course, like in the first 12 months or something, that you went, what the fuck am I doing?
Definitely.
It was like day one.
So no, I think it was probably about a month into it. And I thought, I got to go to a chiropractor. I got to see what this is about. And so
it just blows me away.
And so they had the student chiropractic clinic. I thought, cool, we get it for free being students. I'll book in and go there. And this guy, he must have just started the student clinic. I think, where you begin adjusting patients for real. And I got he did his workup and all that sort of thing, and he adjusted my neck, and it didn't really feel that good. Mind you, he was a student. And I remember going home and throwing up, and it was like, I was just done. I was like, is this what chiropractic is? Like, oh my God.
Here we have what to do.
Pretty much. I'm like, well, this is, the worst end of it. And luckily I went back to uni a couple of days later, and I spoke to a teacher I got along with. He's like, come into my clinic and I'll show you what it's
You went and saw that guy.
Yeah, and so then, I got to see the other end where, you don't throw up after getting treated. It was a lot better. And so that kind of realigned me again. But yeah, I was certainly worried for a day or two there.
Because first year of most uni courses is very like bare bones. Anyway.
Oh, you don't do any chiropractic. For basically, you've got the bachelor degree and the master's. And the bachelor degree, there's this hint of chiropractic, but it's like chemistry and physics and biology and just fluff.
So when you have people come to you now, no disrespect to any education system, are most people coming to you to work having just done a bachelor and not a master's?
As a chiropractor, you have to do a master's degree. They didn't tell me that when I signed up. So I was a little bit peeved.
How many extra years is the master?
So it was another 2 years. And I think another like $50,000 or something. Yeah, I know. Sure, why not?
Paying off the Hexted to
Yeah, right. Honestly.
But so that, and then they come to you, and you're having to sort of further educate a bit more as
Yeah,
well.
definitely. So I think what you get as a student at uni is pretty much how not to kill someone. Good start, right? And it's to how to identify what we call red flags. So things that should be referred straight off the hospital. This is dangerous kind of thing. Or how to sort of see, is it a musculoskeletal complaint versus it could be like, something internal that's referring out, or, all those sort of medical sort of things, and to get an understanding of how the body works. You don't actually learn that much treatment. And so I think that's why there's such a variety among practitioners, that they're all really, really different.
Because you would see like, I know we joke about it at Elite. There's guys who can crack me, and there's guys who can't crack me. So there's that theory, like there's theory's fine, but the hands-on is so important.
So important, yeah. And I've had people straight out of uni who can't do anything. They just can't do anything. And, that's okay if they're willing to learn.
Yeah.
I think I've had, a few physios and they think they know everything and they're just crap. And, you try to teach them and you hold their hand through it all. But if they're not willing to, recognize that what you know and then take that on board, then it's probably no hope, and they'll end up working in the hospital system with really basic rehab and stuff like that.
The in and out.
Mind-numbing sort of stuff, I think.
Because one thing I've always said to people about you is you are, I remember you saying ages ago, if after 3 appointments you can't see any improvement, more than welcome to go and choose somebody else. Yeah,
look, that's a huge philosophy for me. And I pretty much say to anyone who's seeing any health practitioner about an injury,
you shouldn't be going to somebody for months at a time.
Definitely not.
Happening.
Definitely not.
But there are people that do
all the time. It's insane. But it's usually just because they don't know any better. Their doctor has told them, go see the physio, go see whoever. So they do that and they just keep doing it, expecting it to change. So my rule of thumb is, if you don't see a significant change within 3 sessions, it's not working. And that doesn't mean you can't see that person anymore, but it means that they need to reevaluate, change what's doing. Do you need to redo the testing and have a look, or do you need to refer for imaging, or do you need to refer, to a colleague for a second opinion or something like that? You've got to dig deeper to work out what's going on.
Is there stuff that you found over the years? There would be stuff that you go, this is above my pay grade.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's one that comes to mind, but it's just not musculoskeletal, but it will come in. And I remember I had one fellow, and ended up that the hip didn't respond. You had a couple of sessions on it and that sort of thing. This just doesn't feel right, kind of thing. And so we sent him off for imaging, and I actually sent him to the doctor saying, I have a feeling this might be going on. The doctor said, no, that's ridiculous. It's just hip pain. Just needs treatment. So then I sent him off again to another doctor, and the doctor said, yeah, whatever, all right, we'll x-ray it. And it turned out he had like it's the blood vessels in the head of his sort of femur, like in the hip joint there, had collapsed.
Oh.
So the bone was no longer getting a blood supply, and the bone itself was just like crumbling, kind of thing. But it presents as a musculoskeletal sort of thing, because hip pain, the muscles will spasm up to try to protect it and that sort of thing. So,
and if you hadn't addressed that, there would be, like you said, that thing months later.
He won't be able to walk. Like
No.
like he'd be on crutches or something, a walking stick.
So before we go on to the next question, do you see that a lot of health professionals these days, I wouldn't say it's arrogance or ego, but just that admission that I don't think I know what we need to look further here or something like that.
I think in physiotherapy, I think they're a lot quicker just to jump down and image.
Yeah.
So they probably don't miss out on the diagnosis. So they won't have.
As you said, they're evidence-based.
Really evidence-based. So often before they even treat, they'll send for imaging. And so they won't have any of those major things pop up. But generally their treatments will be a lot slower. So you have to question, are they doing the right thing for you? And then chiropractors will probably be more likely to be hands-on quicker, but they have more of a maintenance mindset.
Yeah.
So, there could be an underlying thing that they've never really treated. They're like, oh, we'll just tune it up every week forever, kind of thing. So definitely in both sides.
Like me.
Yes, but you keep destroying yourself. And, we know why.
I've done something new. How can you possibly find something else to hurt? All right. 4 things. So this is question 6. 4 things you cannot live without: animate or inanimate.
All right. So the first one is definitely like exercise.
Yeah.
And training for me, that's a huge sort of outlet. It's also sort of part of my social day-to-day and that sort of thing. So that's the first one. Career, the second one, it sort of gives me purpose. Going out in nature, I find that is huge for me, especially as a bit of a reset. And the fourth one would be my social circle. So friends, family, my partner. I think, if you didn't have that, you'd be alone.
Yeah.
So,
So those 4 things are very, they're very social. How did COVID go in the physiotherapy chiropractic world for Creagh?
It actually was, it was stressful in the sense that you didn't know what was happening, but I was really lucky.
You were, and this is again in a Queensland point of view, we were allowed to go outside of whatever it was for a medical appointment.
Yes. So I was able to stay open.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. And to be honest, there were weeks we were actually busier during that time.
Do you think people just came to you for an excuse to leave the house?
There's definitely some people, but what everyone did is they started running.
Yeah.
I think you were one of them. And
shut up, Craig.
They started working from home. So there was
and the push-up challenge?
The push-up challenge. Yes, there was that one too. So the work from home was huge. Everyone sort of hunched over. So I got so much interaction still throughout the day because of that, because we're still busy, and for me, I like to connect with all my patients, and so it is still a social thing. Like, you're helping them and you're doing your job, but you get to talk and see what's going on with people and all that sort of thing. My colleagues, I would call more friends as well. So I have that sort of social thing going as well.
Still working. What about the Creagh training bit?
So that one, I was lucky in the sense that I have a gym at work, so I could still lift some heavy weights there, and I knew that I'd probably get away with it because it was a allied health setting. And then I also have a few kettlebells, so I'd go down to the park with my girlfriend and sort of do that sort of stuff that I made her run. I wasn't a fan of that at all. Yeah.
For those who are runners, Craig's okay with running, but providing you just come and see him, because like me during COVID, I took up a lot of running, and that increased my visits to you. That's funny. I've been seeing you till I die. Question 7: if you were not doing what you were doing in life right now, What would have been option number 2?
There's a few things, but the one that really stood out to me was a radiologist looking at MRIs. I just think looking at the human body and sort of trying to look at the images and work out what's happened in there.
So I know we're going back again, but when did this interest in, like you said, like there was the go to uni, there was the I might do this.
Yeah.
Like you could have gone to uni and done some sort of, like I said, you wanted to help people and that, but there's clearly an interest there in the human body and sides and that. When did that really kick off?
It all started when I started going to the gym. Yeah. And you start doing your bro science research and all that sort of thing, and you go down the rabbit holes and you just start to learn more and more. And I just found it so fascinating. And you start to look at your own health, and then you can put that, like, help other people with that as well. And the more you learn, the more you can help other people and that sort of thing. So it was definitely, for me, becoming active in the gym and that sort of thing was a big one. Yeah.
And the radiology, was that ever, like you said, there was the chiropractic moment where I was, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
There's never a thought of switching.
No. I mean, that was probably more towards the start of it. And also, to be a radiologist, you have to go through med school. That's really long. And so when I got to that point where I wanted to go back to do my master's degree, so I could do 2 years, I could go back and do med and then specialize. And I'm like,
Seriously, be at uni until you were 40.
Exactly. Yeah. I have friends my age now who are just finishing up their studies and they've got their specialty. It's just forever. Yeah, it's great money.
Oh, again, there's a plus to everything. But
Yeah,
again, it should
it's
be.
a lot.
It should be, because you've spent that amount of time studying. This is when people talk about these fields that you're, getting paid well to do.
Yeah,
There's all those years, hours that you were studying to get there.
for sure.
We have the same thing in here, like people paying for instruction and arguing over the price, or like you go, but you're trained by someone who's been training 20 plus years.
That's
however
right.
many hours.
It's not just the 45 minutes with you that they're paying for, it's the level of experience that you bring.
Because you're is that something that, this is again one of those off the track things. Your price is your price. Do you sort of go, this is what we're worth, or are you conscious, like, is how competitive? I guess what I'm trying to ask is, it's like there is a physio or a chiropractor on every corner.
Yeah.
Is that something that's in your mind, or this is what we're worth?
I think that's probably still that doubt, and the fear.
Yes.
That's still definitely there. I think I could charge a lot more. But at the same time, I look at it and I want to be as accessible to as many people as possible as well.
Yeah.
So you've got to find that middle point where you can hit both avenues kind of thing. So making sure you're not underselling yourself, but not making yourself exclusive.
Yeah.
I think there's a guy down the road from me who's apparently amazing, but he charges $400 for half an hour. And you're like, imagine having to go, even if it was only 3 sessions, that's $1,200. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's only so much you can get on private health.
Yeah, that's right. You get $40 back.
You can be like me. He goes, oh, sorry, you've exhausted your limit. Because that's like you said, you were talking about doubt, and then back to things like the car and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Clearly, you're doing something right, because to get into you specifically, it can be a 2 to 3 week wait, sometimes longer. So, and I drive at least 30 minutes on a good day to get to you. You would have people coming from, you're not
hours away. Yeah. So
what's your, do you know of one who'd be like your furthest away?
Kingaroy?
Kingaroy.
Yes, 3
So
hours.
for those who don't know, Kingaroy would probably be a good 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
From your
So Warwick, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast. We have people who were here before. How does a person
from Warwick come to and again, Warwick's about the same distance. How does a person from Warwick end up at your clinic just outside of the valley?
Social media.
So that's huge.
And I certainly don't pay for the social media to target that far out, and by no means. They just found me, and then, you know, they tried everyone in the area. They drove out there, thought it was amazing, and so they kept coming out, and then they told all their friends, and so I've got different people coming up from Warwick because, you know, I think it's worth the time if it's actually going to work.
Oh,
Yeah.
And as we've discussed, as you've been hurting the shit out of me many times, in a good way, people, in a good way. I've always been that person that if I want something, you know, it's not about, you know, obviously there is a line with the price like we spoke about, but if I need to drive 30 minutes and get treated by somebody who's good, and bypass 8 to 10 different physios on the way, or 8 to 10 different gyms or whatever, I'm prepared to do that.
Yeah.
Because like I said, that's, you know, I'm not going there because you're cheaper. I'm going there because you're fixing me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I think someone told me they came in just the other day and they went to their local physio, and I think it was $180 for an initial consult. They put them on the table, they put a heat pack on them, and they left the room. And they came in, they did a little rub, and then showed them some stretches, and that was it.
Yeah.
And like, that's the norm. Like, there's a lot of therapists out there who would do that.
Yeah.
And like, if you thought,
it's almost like a sort of like, you know, like those chains of physios that we won't mention, but they would have a procedure, I guess, as part of your,
yeah,
you know,
and they just have the curtains, you know, and they go from one to the next, and then they'll, like, I remember growing up, I went to a physio and he gave me the ultrasound machine.
And you had to do it yourself.
And I had to do it myself. And then he went back to the next person. Is this guy kidding? You know? And I mean, like, the evidence that's coming out now that thing doesn't even do anything. So it's just like, but people pay huge money for that.
Because like we said, that's what they expect. That's what they think in their mind.
Well, the doctor said you need to see the physio.
Yeah.
I'm at the physio, so I'm doing what the physio says.
I always say, one thing I love about you and your treatment, and the other guys are the same. I think it's partly because, you know, I'm a stubborn bastard anyway.
Yeah.
You guys are different to a lot of basically everyone else I've been to. You don't tell me what I can't do. You tell me what I can do.
Yeah, huge part of it. I mean, the reason most people come in and see me or the team is because their injury is stopping them from doing something.
Yeah.
So then if you say to that person, well, then don't do that anymore. What's the point of coming in?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that always baffles me when, you know, I see a lot of people from different sports, and like, it's their passion, you know. Even when I've been talking today, you know, like I've mentioned a few times, that training and exercise has shaped my life. If you tell me I can't do that, what have I got left? Kind of thing. That's a huge chunk of it.
And I've come to you, you know, I've come to you like within weeks of going away for training, and just tell me what I need to do.
Yes, we got this sorted. Yeah.
So I think, yeah, and that would be, again, not just the treatment, but also the philosophy is what makes elite so successful.
Well, you want to, I think, especially when we get patients in, we don't want to just know what their pain is, but what their goal is. And you sort of, you know, if you can focus on that goal, it's a lot better than focusing on pain.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of spiral with pain. Whereas if you sort of look at function and slowly get them to move towards that, you're going to get much better outcomes as a result too. Yeah.
And because then people who are coming to you, you know, I come from my tune-ups, but 90% of the people that come to you, they come to you with something already existing. They're not coming to you for just a chat,
just to loosen up. Yeah. And I mean, look, preventative care is huge as well. It's sort of a part of recovery, depending on how much you load your body.
He keeps pointing at me.
But you know, if you put a lot in and you sort of put your body under a lot of stress, you've got to do the work to help it out, right?
I think this is great, actually, because the way you keep pointing to me and insinuating all the stuff.
I'm not saying,
but like, and everyone
just
looks at me and goes, "He's being a wuss. He's being a sook." I can go, "No, he said it."
Hey, I didn't say anything. This is in your own mind. You're just bringing this up.
It's a hot mess. Is that right? All right, number 8. one time you've backed yourself when everything else was saying just to give up.
Yeah, so this was a huge one. I think about 4 or 5 months into opening the business, I was struck with a $1.1 million lawsuit. Yeah,
I
so
thought it was a lot.
yeah. So my last employer had tried to sue me, which was just huge. I remember some fella comes in and he had a wad of papers like this thick. And he's like, oh, you probably know what this is about. You're getting served, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? And I got this and I was just like, it didn't even seem real. I was just like, whatever. And I put it away and I got on with my day and I kept treating. And then you start thinking about it and like, what is, and you get back and you start spiraling and all this sort of thing. You're like, holy shit, I'm getting sued kind of thing. And so you have so many, like, what do you do kind of thing? And at this stage, the business was fresh. We weren't making any money or anything like this. And I'm like, you know, as we were going through, we had to get lawyers and all this sort of thing and talking about the process. None of it makes any sense to me. I had no idea what any of the things like these like legal terms were. Like it's like a whole nother language, right? And I'm like, well, we could just file for bankruptcy, wind it up, kind of thing, go back to working for someone else and just, you know, do that for 4 or 5 years or whatever you have to do in that sort of circumstance. And like, no, that would suck. So that went on for almost 2 years of back and forth legal proceedings. And it was just this incredible stress for all of that time. But it just wasn't an option to stop. You know, we just kept doing it.
Yeah.
And even though every single dollar we made went into paying that off, we just that 96 Mitsubishi Magnum, we still had it all through that.
You need to like put it in a display.
Yeah, right. That's probably in a dump somewhere. I don't know.
I got a $500 trade-in for it.
Yeah.
What like there's a difference between, I mean, like, and the back yourself is something that's very important to me, but it's hard, probably it would have been hard to look past. And again, it's not just like this affects other people too. And like, yeah, it's not short change.
No, it was a lot. It was a really, really difficult time.
And nothing in that, like you said, nothing moves fast.
No.
So you do something and then you have to wait weeks for that response or months.
Yeah, the response, you think this has got to be it.
Yeah.
You know, we'll come up with a settlement or something like that. Surely they won't want to keep going with this. And you just hang on to that feeling for so long.
Was there a feeling you think was the other party involved that you were just going to bow over? And
I think so. Yeah, definitely. So they were a huge national company. You know, they'd been around for forever. And we had dabbled with the idea of on-site corporate work, which sort of, and there was a couple other little mistakes that I made, definitely, which, you know, went against your employment agreements and all that sort of thing. And I think, you know, they would just steamroll us with money. And that was the plan. And you do hear of that a lot with like small up and coming businesses. You know, a big one will see it as a threat, let's just destroy it. And I was just like, no, that's not going to happen. We're going to get through this kind of thing. Yeah.
And look where you are now.
Yeah, exactly. And like, really, they're just absolutely no threat to me. They're not even a blip on my radar now. It's just all in the past, whatever. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny. And this is the thing, like, you don't know what other people are going through. So when I would have been coming to you, we would have just been talking shit.
Yeah.
That would have been somewhere in the back of your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was a really difficult thing for me to do at that time, to switch it off. Try to be really present with each person that was in the room, and you have, you know, that all in the background trying to pull you away. But, you know, like with you, even people don't just pay for your service, they pay for your energy and your presence and all that sort of thing.
Well, the subjects we discuss,
we
can't repeat on this podcast, but some of them are really like, we do our little
you need that personality and all that sort of thing, so you can't be distracted. You have to be able to segment, you know, parts of your life and sort of come back to it kind of thing.
So it's cool, man. I'm glad it worked out.
Well, so am I.
Number 9, 3 pieces of advice to people that are finding reasons not to back themselves, to instead back themselves.
First is ask yourself, will you regret not doing this? And, you know, if the answer is yes, just fucking do it. Just do it. You know, what's the worst that's going to happen?
Do you, sorry to ask on that, because 36, you're quite established for the amount of time Elite has been open. You guys are going well.
Thank you.
But do you find yourself asking that question a little bit? Like, you know,
I don't really doubt myself anymore. I just do it.
when did that change? Because you said like younger, there was like anxiety issues.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
so definitely at becoming a business owner was a big one. You have to just make decisions. And I would say probably after that lawsuit and we survived that, I probably had a newfound sense of confidence.
Yeah.
So as much as that sort of crippled me to one aspect, it also shaped me and gave me a lot more strength.
It's good in everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Second
Second
one.
one, imagine a future where you did back yourself and it paid off. And then imagine, you know, a future where you didn't sort of back yourself.
Yeah.
What would that look like, you know, sort of thing? And making that visualization of the two sort of paths that you could take, I think that's really, really important as well in that sort of decision-making process.
Do you find a lot of people, like I said, you're working with people fresh out of uni. You're working with a lot of people that are still yet to get that experience. Do you find that you're having to say to them, if you do this, this could really pay off? And some people are quick to put on the brakes.
Yeah, big time. And
Because you go through, and I mean, not to say you, but you have, like I've known in the time that I've been seeing you, there's been people last, there's been people not last.
And we haven't had anyone drop out for a couple of years now. So except one person who moved away and she was a receptionist. And I think we've kind of worked out a way to sort of develop and lift these people up where they don't want to leave. And I think working out what their life plan is and helping coach them through that and how the business can help grow them into those roles has been really, really important.
So you're a goal setter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are you like a 3, 5, 10 guy?
Probably 3. I'm not big picture enough to see that down the line. I mean, people do talk about it and being important, but I just can't do it. I can't visualize that.
10 years ago, you didn't think you'd be where you are now.
No, and to be honest, when I have a goal, I kind of get really obsessed. And so if I have a goal that's 10 years, I'll just start doing it now anyway.
So how long ago was the idea of a second location? When did that manifest itself?
That probably started maybe a year ago. And then we sort of, the first step to that was developing one of our team members to run that location kind of thing. And now we've sort of got, you know, I've got a series of goals for, it's probably going to open in 3 or 4 months. So I have like I've written it all down, tick boxes, and we're going to do each step. This is, in this quarter, we're doing this. A month before launch, we're doing this. At launch, we're doing this. 3 months, we're doing this. I just have it all laid out.
So when you meet somebody like me who totally wings it, does that do your head in?
Well, I mean, look, you've done all right.
You've done all right.
You know,
Just shit up.
yeah. And the thing is, you do just make it up. Like you do have to wing it.
How upset do you get when the plans don't work out?
Not that upset. It's all right. It's never that catastrophic that you can't just do something else. Yeah, I've never like. Sometimes they just don't go right, and it was the wrong decision.
Yeah,
but who gives a shit?
Yeah,
you know, the only person, like, it hasn't affected or broken anything or anything like that. The foundation's still there, so it's fine. And I think if you have your little goals that you tick off, you know that when you work towards that main goal, then it's probably going to stick because you put all the little things in place first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number
3. And this actually goes right into what I was talking about. If you're having a problem sort of with getting, you know, motivation to chase that big goal that you have, look at that key thing. And to me, that was starting a business, and then work backwards from there. Okay, how are you going to do that? Break it into those segments. So for me, you know, having the business, you know, starting a business is hard. You can't just start a business. What do you have to do to do that? You know, so you have to have a website, have a marketing plan, have your finances in order. You know, where's your location? What's your branding? And then, you know, for instance, with the website, you go, all right, cool, we're going to need some blog pages on there. We're going to need, you know, the write-up for all the techniques and what we do. And then, all right, we're going to do this week. We're just going to write this page, and just break it down into really, really small steps. You don't have to go chase that huge thing straight away. Just chase the little things.
The people that you went to uni with, not that it's a ducks and drakes thing, but how many of them are established as opposed to how many are employees, as opposed to how many gave it away in 12 months?
A lot of them work for themselves, but they just work for themselves. So they'll be a contractor.
Because there'd be people who'd be happy with what, with that.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it is a really good job in the sense that if you just do it for yourself, you can set your own hours, you can do all of that. But that's not enough. So yeah. And then I think there's a lot of people in the industry as well who started it, it was hard, and then they thought, oh, you know what, I'll go work and insurance and looking at different injuries and workers comp and that sort of thing. So they just, you know, tick boxes and say this person's liable for this claim, blah blah blah. Not for me. Yeah, I couldn't do that.
You treat, like, keep going, like you treat some pretty high profile sports people.
Yeah.
And a lot of that would be referral based.
Yeah, I would say
it was for me.
Word of mouth is a big one for us. I would say, you know, when I started the business, it was all word of mouth. We didn't have any money for marketing.
But was that an area that you went into, or it kind of happened?
I definitely, so it was funny talking before how I was probably a little bit more nervous and anxious and that sort of thing. When we started the business, I always saw myself as the back end. I do, you know, the business end because I was really mathematically minded and that sort of thing. And Bree, my business partner, she's an extrovert. She loves talking to people.
There's not many in chiropractic. Like when you're at uni, do you do business subjects?
Not at all.
Just got to figure this out.
I do. And so I figured I'd do the business. Bree would do, you know, the relations and stuff like that.
Was in your mind, because Bree's done a bit of work overseas.
Yeah, so she'd worked in private practice and all that.
In your mind, she was more experienced.
Yeah, absolutely. And I doubted myself a lot in that. And I think once the business got closer to being there, and I had put so much energy into it, and I was so passionate about it, it was really easy for me to talk to people about my business. And so it kind of actually worked the other way around. Now Bree sort of does the finances and all that sort of stuff, and I can't think of anything worse to do. And I tend to go out, and you know, a big thing was to go out and meet other gym owners and PTs, and we would just get them in for free to start with and just talk to them, show them what we did, because we, you know, all I had was time on my hands, so that was the easiest way to grow. And some people I never saw again. It wasn't their style of treatment. Other people loved us and they just told everyone about us, and that's how we grew. And you know, if you're good at what you do, people will want to share that. You know, he helped me, can help you, that sort of thing. And it just sort of expanded from that for probably the first 4 years.
It's funny. I say this to so many people because I like give you a card and I want to be really clear. We don't get a kickback from you.
Yeah, right.
We're just referring you because I said, like, you started treating, we got referred to you by Tammy Sarkozy, and then you started treating Helen when she really messed her back up.
Yeah.
And then I went, well, I'll give you a crack, and I've been going ever since.
Yeah.
And it's just like, keep giving the card away, because if, like I said, if something's good, then you pass it on.
And ultimately, my goal is to keep them training in the gym.
Is there a field of sport that you seem to treat more than others?
BJJ and CrossFit. Yeah, easy.
If your kids are watching this, they can still do it. They just gotta like Get treated
Do you
early.
want to edit that one out?
I think I remember a conversation with you once that if I was ever to have kids, they will not be doing martial arts because I'll end up looking like you.
To be honest, kids don't get injured as much.
What's the youngest you treat?
I don't really treat too many kids. My business partner probably down to about 8 years old. Yeah, definitely not pediatrics, like little babies. Not interested in that. It's
Too much that can go wrong.
yeah, pretty much, and it's just not my thing. Not
Yeah.
interested.
Yeah.
You know, people want to bring their babies down. Like, no, not about kids.
Yeah. What like, because I mean, like when I grew up, if you were a teenager going to a physio, that's a big deal. Like I brought my kids to see you,
Yes.
and that's now very commonplace now. Teenagers,
Yeah.
going to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I said get a lot of parents who they can see the passion and the discipline that sports and that sort of thing give their kids, and you know, when they sort of fall out of that, it's not just disruptive to their training, but to their lifestyle and all that sort of thing. You know, they're going through school at this time to have that routine. It's really, really important.
It's a practice that I say in here. Whenever someone says they've hurt themselves, I'll first say, what the physio say? I haven't been. I know you wouldn't have been. I just wanted to see how you're trying.
Yeah.
You know,
Try to
there's
get
still
out of
that
this.
wake up tomorrow and it'll be fine.
Yeah, and look, sometimes that happens. And
So by taking a kid or teenagers, they're trying to breed that practice.
that's absolutely, yeah, that's great.
What was the second sport you said? CrossFit.
CrossFit. Yeah, love CrossFit.
Now, they're not going to get into a CrossFit debate.
Yeah.
It's like jiu-jitsu as well. A lot of those injuries, if they're like proper maintenance and they're taking care of themselves, they can keep doing that.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's very rare that I'll see someone who's been seeing me already that'll be sort of out of action for a long time. You know, I'll get people who do come in and they've been doing CrossFit and they're usually new, like in their first year of doing sport like that.
Honeymoon period.
Yeah, and they're sort of really excited by it and they're, you know, overdoing it a little bit, that they'll break themselves because, you know, they might have a desk job day to day. They go into the gym, they don't warm up,
They
all that
start
sort of
popping a 120 deadlift and a metcon.
yeah, and then next minute they're insane me.
Yeah.
And you know, that might take 4 or 5 weeks to get them back to training. But you know, if they probably were looking after their body prior to that, you know, but they also didn't know like these things were out there for they might have never seen a physio before in their life. So you know, it's just learn about it, that sort of thing, right? Yeah.
Righto, question number 10.
All right.
Oh, here we go. This is the most prepared one I've had so far.
There you go.
All right. A
All
quote
right.
to live by.
20 years from now, you'd give anything to be this exact age, exactly this healthy in this exact moment. Take a second to enjoy it.
Now, there's obviously a lot of your profession coming out of there.
Yeah.
But is that a life thing for you too?
I think so, yeah.
Do you ever see yourself retiring?
No. I think I would probably.
I asked this question because I got asked this recently.
Yeah, okay.
And my answer was no.
I think I like to have purpose.
Yes.
I might not treat forever. I think I can see myself peeling back from that.
Should be helping forever.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'll always dabble in some sort of business. You know, I believe I really enjoy the marketing aspects and sort of showing people what we do. So I'll sort of move away. I also want to be able to travel a little bit more. So being able to do that remotely in marketing, that sort of thing. So, but there's always going to be something. I can't stop.
Would you be this, like say, like you have your routines and we've spoken about this, but like you wouldn't be as healthy as you are if you weren't actively doing what you do.
Oh God, no.
But you would see a lot of people in your field that are not examples of that.
Yes.
Do you think that helps your, like, you know, you've got yourself,
Yeah.
you've got another one of your boys that's doing those stupid Ironman triathlons.
Yeah.
You've got, I mean, it's not a vain thing again, but your whole team, they look the part.
Yeah. So that actually, it's one of our core values in
Mm.
business, which is lifestyle, practice what you preach.
Yeah.
I think, it's like if you go to a GP and this GP tells you, you've got high blood pressure, you need to watch what you're eating, but he's fat. It just doesn't land the same.
Telling me, or are you telling yourself?
Hypothetically. It just doesn't land the same as someone who doesn't do what they're, telling you to do themselves, right? So I think you can sort of inspire people a little bit by, I can do it, you can too, kind of thing. This is where you can be.
Where do you see yourself in 20 years?
Oh, probably.
I'm not saying you got to write down your goals.
No.
Be as philosophical as you want.
I see myself sort of with 15 locations of businesses, sort of looking after them all, sort of as a training development person, bringing up the team, recruiting them, all that sort of thing, training them in the skills that they can then use to pass on and sort of help as many people as possible out there. I think I really enjoy developing people, and I think that's probably where my path will end up. Yeah.
Seem to have, from what I can, and I've seen this with you, especially in the past few years, and you've really developed more of this mentoring sort of role.
Absolutely.
Is that a feeling that you want to, I don't know, pass on?
Pass on.
Oh, pass on knowledge, I guess I'd say. Because one thing I was reading the other day, the difference between instructors and masters. Instructors teach techniques.
Yeah.
Masters teach life skills or core values, as you said.
Yeah.
If you do this, you will be able, because again, I guess maybe is it one of, like I said, you've got one of your guys now who's moving into, from where you are now, you'll be looking after that one.
Yeah.
It's that development.
And I think it all sort of falls under that mentor sort of thing, right? I think it's not just, you can't just teach someone skills. You've got to see what's going on in their life at the same time and help them grow and develop and that sort of thing. And, like I was saying before, how their career can shape their life. Someone actually told me a really funny thing. So we were talking about this exact thing, and people will spend more time planning their wedding than their life.
100%.
And so I think, looking at how to plan your life, your career, everything like that, it all sort of goes hand in hand.
That is so true.
Yeah.
We spend so much time planning these big events, but we don't know when.
We're just floating through, right? Yeah.
Navigating. What I guess what is let's think about a way to word this. If you could do anything with the health industry at this point in time, if you had the buttons to push, what would be the one big thing that you would do?
I
could see you did this. He's rubbing the hands together.
Yeah.
Fuck, where do I start?
I think the biggest gap that the health industry has right now is GPs not recognizing their limitations and referring on when they need, or sort of, I see it so many times in the sense that you go to the GP, you're getting old, it's normal to have, that hip pain.
Yes.
You're 40 now, that sort of thing. And I wish that there was more integration between all of the different sort of, doctors, physio, chiro, and not different
Working together.
If they all work together and sort of, didn't say, chiropractic's rubbish, you shouldn't do that, it would help so many more people, So I think if I could change that, that would be huge.
That sort of makes me think about the word that I've banned you from saying to me.
Oh, yeah.
Degenerative. But the reality is, and I talk to people a lot about this, I'm 48 months. I think of my parents when they were 48, they weren't doing half the shit
I was
absolutely doing. So if we can pass on, like you said, that sort of, this is happening. Our variable is you are getting old, but it's not over.
You're not done.
And you would have people coming into you, oh, look, I know I'm probably past it, but I'm just, and they're like 35.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be told that they have arthritis, which is degeneration. So what?
I told you not to say that word.
Not directly at you.
Not this time.
Like, look, it doesn't matter. It means you might get symptoms there a little bit more easily. But if you look after it, it'll be fine, kind of thing. And there's older people who have hip replacements and stuff like that. They probably, had this instant way back in their 30s where they had hip pain, but then never looked after it, and it just progresses and progresses and progresses.
And they are the generation, God bless them, that are going to the GP for all the answers.
Yes.
And the GP, and this is not a shot at any doctors.
There are great doctors out there, for sure.
Oh, I'm seeing one at the moment, and she is a legend.
Yeah.
But there is that percentage that just wipe the slate on you.
Yeah, 100%. And it just funnels you
Having
down.
said that, there's probably chiropractors that do the same thing.
Absolutely.
They're in every profession.
Yeah. And it'll funnel you down a path where you're just on medication for symptomatic relief, but that degeneration is just getting worse and worse and worse until you're disabled. So, you have to look after your body. You have to keep moving, doing exercise, all that sort of thing, because, injuries happen and all that sort of thing, but it doesn't mean you need to stop. Yeah.
And we are there's a book I'm reading recently, just how important it is just to move. And that's one of the things that, you guys you've never told me to stop.
No.
You've told me to tone back.
Yeah, or we might modify short term kind of thing, but you can always do things. Yeah.
Whereas there's some that just are stop.
Yeah, it's rubbish. There's actually a lot of research out that says stopping is the worst thing you can do. The rate of atrophy of the muscles that would protect the joint and things around that injury is at 300% when there's an injury and pain present, which only will compound it over time, and the rate of re-injury and all that sort of thing. So
I mean, it's just and there's that encouragement to move post-injury now as well.
Yeah.
Like I remember my first knee surgery basically locked me up.
Yeah.
Last one, get out.
Walk that day.
Walk
Yeah,
out.
it's wild, isn't it? How it's changed. Yeah.
What do you think? It's probably my last question. What do you think changed that? Were we too afraid to give that sort of advice, thinking something might go wrong, and now we just go do it?
Oh, look, I think there has been a lot of research, and we'll give the physios credit, because that's where they've really evidence-based and movement and exercise and that sort of thing. I think there has been a lot of research, especially in hospitals, post-operative sort of thing, because it's in a controlled environment where they can do that research. So, over the years, especially as surgery has become more commonplace, they have more ability to do those studies and that sort of thing. So I think that's where it's really come from. Yeah.
Because I remember, when one injury I had, with my ankle, you were dead against putting me in a boot or anything like that. Just go walk on.
Yeah. You might not have liked it.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. But I generally do as I'm told.
Yeah.
With you. Creagh Court, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Guys, if you want to look up anything Creagh does, he operates Elite Health and Performance, which is elitehp.com.au.
That's the one.
Is that correct?
Yep.
I go to his website a lot, can you tell? They're located in Bowen Hills.
And
Brisbane.
soon to be Toowong as well. Yeah.
Soon to be in Toowong.
Yes.
Not going to be hectic at all.
No.
He's welcoming it. If you like what we do, if you like what you listen to, make sure you pass this on to others, make sure you share it. And I can't wait to interview our next person. But Creagh, that's been awesome.
Thank you.
We could go for a little bit longer. The most prepared person that I've ever seen. Totally winged it.
Yeah.
But mate, thank you for your time. I know you're a very busy fella. And next time I'll send you the questions more than 12 hours.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
See you later. Thank you for listening to the Kyl Reber podcast, and thank you for taking the time to listen to another amazing person that is doing amazing things, that is just like you and I, and like you, is capable of greatness. So make sure that you listen to this, take away something from it, and use that to inspire you to back yourself and become something that you could have never dreamed you're possible of becoming. Please make sure you listen to future episodes. Please make sure you follow, like, and share all our channels, because let's get the word out that everybody, everywhere, no matter who they are, is capable of doing some pretty amazing things. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. My name's Kyl Reber. See you soon.